did a video the other day talking about the nervous system and the balance that we need to have to get results. Had a lot of good response off of it, so I wanted to kind of come at you with part two on where do we go from just knowing the parts and how do we find these positions in our workout and make sure we stay in the right zone. So I'm going to let Ryan explain the difference between the two and some tips on it, and then we're going to go over some how to see it in our exercises. So pay attention, take notes, ask questions as needed. So.
Cool. So the other day, Ben painted a really good picture of the nervous system and talking about the autonomic nervous system. And I don't expect any of you guys to have any understanding of physiology, but basically it's the things that run automatically in our body. So things like digestion, our heart rate. They respond to different stimuli, such as eating food or running around the block. But we can't consciously say here and say, okay, stomach, digest. Okay, heart, speed up. And so within this automatic system, we have, in essence, a gas pedal and a brake pedal. And what we're trying to do, really, from a training standpoint, is get the best performance out of our clients. And so we're going to frame this whole talk around this sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So I love to caricature this as, or give the analogy that the sympathetic system is our gas pedal. It's going to put us into this fight or flight mode to respond quickly and ultimately just keep us driving really, really fast. Now, when it comes to stress, it's really non-specific, meaning any stress, mental stress, physical stress, stupid ex-boyfriend stress, is all going to manifest in the same way and create or increase this stress response. On the flip side, we have the parasympathetic system, and it's like our brake pedal, so it allows us to slow down. And in training speak, it really allows us to get the benefits from the training that we've done. Now, the issue that we run into with most people is that they don't have enough activity here and or they're unable to shut off the sympathetic nervous systems, meaning they come in cranked up from a lousy day at work, from that jerk in traffic, they train really, really hard, getting that sympathetic system further elevated, and then they leave without ever turning it off. And so it complicates the whole process because we're really good at training and going, but we're not good at the off. And I hesitate to really use the word off because although it's a brake pedal, we're never coming to a complete stop. And so we're going to touch on that. When we look at training or how this stuff really comes to the surface and what we see out of our clients, the sympathetic is a high threshold system. We're going to see some changes in posture, and specifically with respect to breathing, we see more chest breathing. We see people do very low level or low intensity exercises, yet are unable to control tone in their entire body. So they could be laying on the ground doing a simple exercise like a dead bug and breathing like they're running a 100-meter dash. With the parasympathetic, we're going to see more of this low threshold. So we're able to control and be aware of what our body is doing and where we actually need tone. So it allows us some efficiency. And when it comes to performance, that is huge. Okay, the sympathetic, we're going to have poor breathing patterns. We see this extended posture. We see more chest breathing where the neck and the scalenes are pulling that rib cage up to allow it to fill with air. We put more tone in our low back, and so we get kind of cranked up. Now, I'm not saying we have to have the parasympathetic system on while we're training, but what we need to do a better job of is thinking of this like a dimmer switch, and that we're trying to balance the ratio of these two systems to make sure that although we're doing core work and we are a little bit more sympathetically driven, that we're able to maintain that posture. And so we're going to talk to you guys in just a couple seconds about position, posture, and performance of a few foundational exercises and what we look for as coaches from a performance standpoint. So training smarter is really what the essence of managing these two systems is all about for us. We always joke with people that, you don't come into the four walls of our gym to sacrifice your nutritional sins on the altar of exercise. We want to make you efficient and effective at what you're doing in the training room so that you guys can get the best performance. And in a nutshell, we treat our clients like athletes. Some of you may not feel like super high-level athletes, but we still have that mindset. And this kind of paradigm really helps us decide what clients need. So if you're the type of person who's already toned up, who's cranking it, it's not necessarily that you need off days, but you might need more low intensity work that allows you to recover, that allows your body to regenerate, and ultimately get a better training effect from the work that you're doing. Next up, Ben's going to take me through a few exercises, kind of highlighting some of these postural deviations that we see and how they contribute to maybe poor positioning in exercises, how maybe if you've experienced pain that, so-and-so says these exercises are really good, but you're not seeing the benefits from them. And so we're just going to help you guys optimize your training to get better core and to get better results ultimately. Yeah.
All right, so first thing we're going to look at is the plank. If we can't hold a position of neutral or even flexed and breathing properly on the ground unloaded, then it's going to be really hard for us to find this in a loaded, standing, less stable position. So let's dive into the plank. I know this seems boring, but there's a lot going on in this movement that's going to help us out later. So what we'll see in most people's planks when they walk in is legs are locked, back's arched, their head's sticking up because everyone's like, keep your head up to flatten your back out. This is causing a lot of tone in the neck. The only breath that's going on right here is through his ribs, and you can just see his back muscles toned up. So what we're going to instead do is, a lot of times we'll drop people to their knees first, or even just bend the knees. By unlocking the knees, we can pull the hips under us and neutralize that spine. And then we're going to find some more abs. The back already flattened out. We're then going to reach through the elbows and try to lift this up to the ceiling. And what we see a lot of is people can't do this. They'll reach through here. I'm really bad at this. This kind of compensatory movement is not really reaching the shoulder blades around. So we'll flatten this back down. We'll reach through here so we keep the whole spine reaching together. Now we can try to get air to this upper back as well as through the diaphragm. Everything's nice and lined up. Chin's neutral. So we have this full position. And we usually get the shakes here. Go ahead and relax. A lot of people get the shakes here. Again, it's not super high threshold, but it's difficult to maintain that position for people. So once they get the idea of that, then we'll move on to movements like squatting and pressing. Awesome information from Ryan about kind of the sides and the spectrum that we want to stick in. So I'm going to go over just a couple exercises that everybody's probably done and what we see and maybe how we'll adjust it based on where we see them fit on the spectrum and where they need to be. So the first one is a squat. Everybody likes to squat. So we're going to use, say, a back squat. So grab that pole. And most people, when they think squat, they're like, I need to develop my quads. I need to put a bar on my back and squat. And what we see here is a good setup if we were at a powerlifting meet or going for a max and this gas pedal high threshold. But most of our clients, when they're just starting a program or maybe it's just a Wednesday that they had a hard day at work, they don't need this toned up, chest proud, only breathing out of the front of their ribs position to hit a few sets of 6. This is save this for the platform, save this for moments of stress. We don't need to go to this position every time we train, especially if someone's more on the sympathetic end and we need them to tone down because they've been too stressed or having injuries. We're going to ditch the bar in the back and focus more on the posture and the core positioning. So what we'll do instead is grab a kettlebell in front of their body. We can then exhale. As you see, just pull themselves out of that with an exhale. That's really hard to do with the bar in your back. With the bell out in front, we get a nice reach to the elbows, so we're getting air to the back side of the rib cage as well as through the stomach. We can learn to squat down to a deeper range of motion through the hips and control this. Compared to a bar, this is still difficult training. So I don't want people to think that this is easy training. This is still very difficult to maintain this position. You can get great results with the clients, but we're controlling the breathing, we're controlling the movement and the posture. The threshold isn't as high on total weight, but the intensity is still enough for them to get results. So that's one of them. And then something that's kind of true to me is the kettlebell press. I see a lot of people want to increase their pressing, but it's not something we want to keep driving extension and sacrifice the shoulder. So what I see a lot of in the kettlebell press, if you can grab that and press, big arch there on that press. A lot of people they want to grind this up and they lean back and then we're getting this tone. So it's the same thing we saw in the barbell squat. Even though it's a one arm, it's a lot less weight, they're still driving into that extended position when they want to pump up a really heavy rep. So what we'll teach people to do is maybe prepping to get to that time when you have to press twice half your body weight. We'll instead go to more of like a half kneeling press. So now we're not extended through both the hips. We can pull the hips under us and exhale. We can reach forward, maybe even push against the wall with this arm. Now again, we have that same posture. We have nice air coming to the back. The abs are working, the hips under control. And now when we press, like this is pretty lightweight for him, but you'll see it's not easy. So again, this isn't easy training, it's manageable training. We can control the tone in the backside. We can have him breathe and reach and really control the ribs. So there's just a couple exercises of how we will, moderate tone through the nervous system. When it's needed, you definitely want to dial it up and use it. But when it's not, scale it back and use the appropriate load. So I hope that was enough information, kind of going into part 2, and we're going to come back with some more series based on people's interest and how to gauge this and monitor it. And the more you are in tune with this and aware of it, I think you're going to see more results in your program and a less stressful life. So check our Facebook page or website. Shoot us a message if you have any questions or want to learn some of these methods. Thank you.